Russell,
what's up, Ned?
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. We're talking about Adventure Time again. It's that time of day.
It's that time of week.
It's late on a Thursday. We got 2 episodes we got to record. We're just pulling the curtain back, and Ned's already had dinner and having a drink, and I'm over here drinking water and starving to death. So excited for this one.
We got to get you some food. Hopefully, we don't get some hangry Russell arguing with
granola.
me at the end of this. Okay, you got some hikers food.
Yeah, I had some granola. It was like super grains is what the bag said. It was like dark chocolate flavored, so I really can't complain.
It's not bad.
No, I think last week, if anything, that was probably Hangry Russell. Maybe that's why I was so mad at Ice King. I'm not really sure, but welcome everybody. Adventure Time podcast, Never Ending Adventure. You're here.
Trigger words.
I'm Russell Tyndall, one of your co-hosts. You got DJ Nettie P, Ned Pruitt on the other side, and we're going to be talking about Mortal Recoil. I'm very curious to see what the reaction to last week's episode will be with everybody. And this is just a new episode. It's kind of, we were talking a little bit before this of how we feel just generally about this episode, and I mentioned, Ned, that I really do feel like this should have been episode 1 of season 3. I think this would have been a great follow-up. It doesn't feel like it builds on the hype of the last episode. I think Princess Bubblegum falling into the vat or the energy, the power well, and then Ice King kind of just being like to blame is really the ultimate ending to season 2 to make you just super hyped for the next season. This isn't the last episode of the season, as we talked about last week, but it wraps up the season 2. I just think it would have been a better opening.
It wraps up season 2. It still leaves you on a fun cliffhanger and something, like it ends with the snail obviously still possessed by the Lich, which honestly is a good cliffhanger.
It's good. It's
tons of I'll just start it up, man. Tons of production notes. Just reading up on this episode, the wiki pages. Like this is actually a lot of facts and fun stuff that I get from the show is the fact that I'm reading it off of like Adventure Time's like fandom wiki. These episodes actually had their own Wikipedia page, which I thought was very interesting because I really do think that if there was any adults or kids watching through the show as it was being released, Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil solidified this show as a canon type show. We're going to have continuations of stories. And I think the snail solidifies that. This whole like to be continued. You had to have seen these 2 episodes to understand what's going to happen next season. And that builds a really core fan base. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree. I will say, and to like hyping up the show, good on the show, they did a really good job of, in my opinion, the nuances of if you didn't watch the rest of the show, you still can enjoy this episode. For example, kind of what you're saying, something that is canonical is that Peppermint Butler is kind of got an evil side to him. And in this, he walks in the room, he freaks out, he hisses, drops the tea, goes everywhere, and then he like sprints out and shows his fangs. And that is certainly them, harking back to a previous episode where we've seen kind of the evils of the dark side of Peppermint Butler, where he knows death and he knows, kind of things that he probably shouldn't be aware of. But in this episode, they just kind of throw it in there very subtly. And if you don't watch the rest of the show, it's not going to ruin that episode for you.
You'd be like, okay, that weird Peppermint guy ran off. But like that's when I think there's so many later episodes that you can just appreciate every single minute of it because they just take the episode and it's just like, boom, that's canon. Boom, that's canon. Boom, that's an old Star Trek reference. Boom, that's an old PB reference. Okay. And like they start.
So we're going to build.
It's building. It's been, and this, you could see a lot of building in this episode with just like in Nurse Poundcake. You can see it with Peppermint Butler. You can see it with the Gumball Guardians. Like, there's a lot of little things, and you could be like, oh yeah, if we hadn't stopped and talk about Gumball Guardians earlier in season 1, then we wouldn't.
Yeah, you'd be a little
you wouldn't understand.
confused
You'd be like,
about
"What's
that.
that guy doing sitting on the wall outside the Candy Kingdom?" You know?
Yeah, that was a nice throwback for sure to have him be a part of it. Like big monster in the Candy Kingdom, we need someone big that can stop it or at least hold it up for a little bit. Ned, you mentioned one of the new characters we got introduced to in this episode, Nurse Poundcake.
Yeah,
W-
Nurse Pat. We're
Is there
gonna
a
dive into
significance
it,
to
man.
her?
No, she has a wonderful cameo episode later on in the seasons where, oh, how do I say it without spoiling it? It's a whole episode that you don't know it's about her, and then it ends up being about her. So it's kind of cool that she's a canonical character as well. Even these like C-list characters, as they call them, that like, dude, she has an appearance later on. Like this is an introduction to a character that has a line, you know?
Yeah. Well, she was, and I'm not going to make it this. She was my sexy character initially. And I thought about it and I discussed it. I had I hired someone to talk with me about my jokes, my writing of my jokes, and if it would be appropriate, also known as Allie. I talked to Allie about this one.
The screener of your jokes, maybe
the screener of my jokes, and I've determined to not make her my sexy character. She was going to be my sexy character. I was going to make a distasteful joke about I'd like to pound her, and then never mind. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make that joke.
What is this, a Joe Rogan podcast?
I'm not going to make that joke. Let's just move on. She's there. My previous sexy doctor nurse is there as well.
Yeah, Dr.
Was
Princess
she
did.
Lovely? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Dr.
I think
Princess.
she was both of our lovelies when she's
back.
Gunter gave birth, you know. She is back.
Oh, she's good.
It weirded me out. She was not there upon the initial like wheeling in of the princess, but
they had to call her in. They needed her to come.
I think she's like, yeah, because she was in the Rock Kingdom last time treating rock people, so she must be a on-call
doctor for hire.
Yeah, doctor for hire.
Something like that. She's a traveling doctor, essentially. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, she's obviously. I mean, I guess there's a lot of doctors, but she is Dr. Princess, even
Dr.
though she's
Ice
not
Cream
a princess.
Too, though. That's another one.
I mean,
put some sugars on her. Two scoops.
2 scoops. 1, 2. We'll just jump into it. Lovelies.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Mine were Dr. Prince, or not Dr. Princess. Dr. Ice Cream and Nurse Pound, or Nurse Ice Cream, Nurse Pound Cake were my lovelies of this episode for sure.
Wow. I probably should have made Dr. Ice Cream my lovely as well. Why was Dr. Ice Cream your lovely?
I think the combination of the two of them, one, the voice acting got me, like the Nurse Pound Cake, kind of almost a woman voice I thought that was hilarious. Like you could totally tell it was one of the guys in the studio. They were like, just do a lady voice. Like, what would a pound cake sound like? And some guy did a nurse pound cake voice. So I loved that aspect. And I loved just kind of like their appearance of they are the doctors in the Candy Kingdom. And like, I mean, like you just mentioned, like 2 scoops of sugar. And then when they're putting her back together, it's just literally like puzzle pieces. Like they're hardly doctors at all, you know? So
yeah,
I don't know.
Certainly. And also, Princess Bubblegum kind of just appears out of nowhere. Like at one point, she's just like gooey and gross. I mean, Dr. Ice Cream, what she call her, 90% gross and 10% crazy nasty.
10% crazy nasty.
And then all of a sudden, she's, she gets a little rest or she flatlines and then she starts to stabilize. And then she really forms into the Princess Bubblegum that we know. And that happens again later on when what you're saying, they had the bubblegum and they don't have enough bubblegum to put her completely back together. But then they put 2 pieces together. And there's like a third piece on the bed. And then the next time you see the bed, she's like there.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it was just like, it's such sketchy doctoring. That's why they probably called in Dr. Princess, but.
It's true. I don't know.
But
Dan, dude, we hopped into this episode. We were going to talk about you going to freaking the Masters yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get to that. Because I want to hear your lovely. We're on the lovelies.
Oh, Ned, I felt so bad because this one I just didn't have a lovely, and I was going to say the random bird that saves Finn. But I'm like, is that even okay? That's not really a character.
We don't even know if that's Z-list characters, you know?
Yeah, that's a bad lovely, man. I feel really guilty about that one. I'm like phoning it in on that lovely. So
yeah, well, it's a tough one. Again, it kind of establishes the end of season 2. We've got primarily characters that have been canon, characters that have already been our lovelies through the whole episode. Nobody really does anything epic, or I can't say epic. Nobody really does anything that isn't questioned.
you do
Finn makes
have,
mistakes. Jake makes mistakes.
yeah,
Ice
you
King
have
make
a really
mistakes.
funny Ice King this episode, which
Yeah,
is interesting compared to like contrasting that to the last episode where I just absolutely hated Ice King. He didn't win me back by any means, but throughout this episode, he had a couple one-liners where he's talking about his stanky old wizard eyes.
yeah.
That was pretty good, and then you get a little bit of that like cringe old man Ice King vibes where he says, "I don't want my future wife to be physically unattractive.
I don't want her to be physically unattractive."
That's a good one. And okay, I didn't kill her this time. Everybody saw that, right? It's another good one. But then my tops of the episode, which is like another bad Ice King line that made me giggle, and I probably shouldn't have giggled at it, was when the big reveal that Princess Bubblegum is 13 years old now and it's the same age as Finn. And then Ice King goes, "Oh, dang it. Well, I'm out of here."
Well, good for the writers for making him.
It was funny.
That's where he draws the line. As much of his insanity is there, that's where he draws the line. Is underage. Love it.
He just played a good comic relief this episode. That's all it was.
Well, I had not an opposite thought, but I was going to wait to deep thoughts about this, but I think we can just get into it because I thought the most important part of this episode was Ice King. And that's
okay.
And it's more now, and this is coming from the expert on Adventure Time. A lot of things said and done in this episode, and especially how you felt the last episode, where you were like, I want to punch Ice King. He's awful. He's terrible. He's still a bad guy. And then all of a sudden it flips the tables to where Ice King is there. Finn gives him a swift punch to the face, which was well-deserved. You got your most punchable character because Finn just smacks him in the face right to start the episode, throws the daggum root sword, almost like piercing him.
We saw his sexy legs, unnecessary.
You saw his sexy legs, sexy underwear wraps, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, right to kick the episode off, you get this humanization of Ice King. And they go, "No one wants you around, man. You're old." And he's like, "I'm not old." And everybody around, all the princesses in the background, are like, "Dude, you're freaking old, man." And he has this moment. He's like, "Well, I guess I noticed. I never knew." Like, and he all of a sudden, like, still, you see this click in his mind where he's like, "Okay, I guess there's something here that I'm not seeing. And then I'm going to dip out of here." And he pulls the whole like float into the clouds, like Monty Python. You hear like the clouds go whoosh, like click together. And I don't know, man. There's multiple, but the seeing the crazy things in his eyes. He talks about if I don't have Princess Bubblegum, I'll be trapped in this emotional labyrinth, which it took me watching this episode twice. And that's, for all my fans out there, I'm trying to do this without spoiler dropping, but you realize that his mind is actually a labyrinth of some sort. I'm gonna leave that there for all the super fans out there. Like and I don't know. And again, by the end of the episode, we've established that the Lich is bad, but Ice King is not necessarily bad. And so I really think this is an Ice King development episode. He's no longer going to be an antagonist, and we know that now,
Yeah, he saw something strange. He was sticking around. I mean, he does say that like he wanted to make sure that his future wife isn't physically unattractive, but he was keeping an eye on her. He had like his ear to the wall with a cup or whatever, trying to hear in, see what was happening while she was, being possessed in the mosquito-looking whatever thing that turned into the giant monster. Creepy episode with Princess Bubblegum. Not her fault. Lich's fault. Lich is a creepy character, but
yeah, Lich is
but certainly
again, this is a double episode establishing Lich is the antagonist. It is the bad thing in the show. Ice King is one of these characters that you don't love. That he's not a partner in crime with Finn and Jake the whole time, but he's not a villain whatsoever. Which the first time I ever watched through the show, I had seen the previews and seen the stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, the evil Ice King, and he's not evil, and that's it. I love that they established that early on,
Yeah, I don't know. Gosh, you're right.
He can still be punchable. It doesn't mean he's evil.
Yeah, I know. He just really sucked last episode. It's going to take a lot for me to get over.
He's still recovering.
I don't think this episode necessarily, I don't know. I think he's just a comic relief in this episode, and you do see a little bit of what you're talking about, but I think he has a long way to go for me.
It's been a long way to go since he had the encounter with the Cosmic Owl, and I think this episode has been by far and away the furthest we've seen him grow. And the first when they're like, okay, he wants to help. He's like, please let me help you. I saw the Lich enter the princess. I can help. I can do the stuff. Finn is so hesitant because of what happened in the last episode. I feel like you and Finn are on the same page. You're like, I don't want him to help. I want to punch him.
I'm on Finn's side. Finn's side.
But he finally caves and he's like, dude, we need the Ice King's help. You got to have all the help, even if you don't like somebody. If there's an ultimate evil to be defeated.
Jake was on it the whole time. He was just aware. He had his animal instincts just kind of popping off, in the back of his head or in his stomach, where he's just like, man, this is weird. Everything happens around Jake, though. It's constantly like, maybe Jake is not blinded by his anger and he's seeing, the idiosyncrasies or the weirdness, the awkwardness that's happening with Princess Bubblegum, the characters around Princess Bubblegum, the way that they're reacting when they see, Peppermint Butler and everybody. It's very interesting to see Jake kind of be like, all right, well, Finn, we probably need his help. But if we're not going to take his help, all right, let's go try and take it down. But just know, we probably need Ice King's help defeating him.
Yeah. Well, I would say that would be my only Jake mistake of the episode.
Making big pancakes.
Was that upon initially seeing Princess Bubblegum, Jake has a weird gut feeling, doesn't tell Finn, or isn't pressing Finn.
It's just not enough. I think it was so subtle at first, where he's like, well. I mean,
dude, she exorcised right out of the bed.
Yeah, but at that point, he doesn't have enough. I mean, he basically shows Finn. I mean, just after that, because Finn was gone, and then he goes and sees Finn in the hall. He's like, Princess Bubblegum is freaking out. Finn was gone for a minute, going and getting all those weird things for her. The products for the girls.
Homies help homies, girl stuff. Man. Come on.
Do what?
I said homies help homies.
No, I think that is, I'm going to just, in my opinion, call you out and say that is not a Jake mistake.
Okay.
I don't think he made a mistake there. I think it's just based off of the timeline and how minor it was and how it grew. It just happened to be where he probably could have said something to Finn sooner, but I think Finn wouldn't have listened to him until Finn saw it with his eye in the peephole, when he's, or in the keyhole or whatever.
When they're perving,
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess they're pervy. I mean, certainly.
He goes, "You don't do that, man. That's pervy."
She was pretty sus at that point. You got to go check her out.
Yeah, well, okay. If you don't have a Jake mistake, I had a backup because I knew that you weren't going to buy that.
Okay,
it was a pep butt mistake. Because Peppermint Butler obviously has this freak out moment where he realizes something is wrong, bashes his teeth, and runs away. Doesn't even show back up.
He's afraid.
Yeah, but he is the queen's right hand. I say the princess's.
But he's a
right
bad guy.
Man. He's not. Right? No, he's not a bad guy. He dips his toe in the dark arts. Doesn't mean he's bad.
Well, he's looking out for himself. I mean, that's why he's there. That's why he wants to be Princess Bubblegum's right hand man.
But if you can say that, that's still a pep butt mistake, right?
I think he was getting the hell out of there. I bet he probably owes the Lich some lunch money or something. I don't know.
You're not wrong. Maybe he did have some sort of weird one-on-one debt with the Lich.
Yeah, I don't know.
To get out of there for his own sake.
It was funny, dude. The Finn just being like, "Oh, I went and got her. What is it? Bleach, lighter fluid, ammonium, gasoline, lady
plutonium.
stuff, plutonium."
Oh yeah,
You know,
that no,
lady stuff. I don't know.
I know.
Like,
Well, it leads me in because we've now touched on it 3 times. I've been trying to hold my tongue, but let's take a quick break because we're gonna come back in. I've got some stuff about Finn in this episode that's gonna open up them good like deep doors of conversation.
What a tease!
What a tease.
Into the meat after this, I suppose.
Yeah, gonna get into the meat.
Ugh.
But we'll be back in a second. Do you have low energy? And do you have less drive than your candy counterparts? Then you might need a boost to get you through your day. The newest product from Bub Lab Co. is Sugar Shots, the EpiPen for when your sugar levels are low. The new and miraculous drug from the Candy and Drug Administration might be the answer to all of your problems. Ask your local ice cream doctor about the Bub Lab Co. Sugar Shot. The CDA-approved Sugar Shot is prescribed for daily use to boost you and your internal sweetness to brighten up your life. I get to spend more time with my loved ones.
I get to spend less time with mine.
Side effects may include euphoria, extreme amounts of energy crashing, energy explosions, body convulsions, your loved ones hating to be around you, the innate desire to party, post-party sleeping, and death. Bub Lab Co. Sugar Shots. Sweeten up your day.
Welcome back, Nettie Pooh.
Russell Pooh.
How was your trip down to the Masters, man?
Bro, it was good, man. The Masters is a magical place. If you guys don't know, I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, so the Masters is a bit of my hometown fame. People are like, "You're from Augusta, you play golf," and I was like, "A little bit, a little bit." I'm not very good at golfing, but dude, if you guys ever get a chance to go down to the Masters, it doesn't even matter if you like golf. Like,
I think it's like invite only, though, right?
It kind of, sort of. Like, it's really hard to get badges. They're very strict about, like, if they give badges to a specific person, like, they really want that specific person or group to have them. So it's, like, really hard to scalp tickets. It's really hard to rescan tickets to get in. So it's hard to do it. So, but being from Augusta, my dad got us tickets from a patient he had who was like, "I'm going to get you tickets to the practice rounds." And we kind of do that.
J.
I know, and Jackie doesn't even, she's not crazy fan of golf or golfers or anything. We're about
it's a vibe.
45 minutes into being there, she was like, "This is the coolest sporting event I've ever been to in my life."
Wow,
like,
really?
Crazy. Yeah,
I'm very jealous.
It's very, I'm not going to call it existential, but just being there, and like the golf course is in the middle of the city, right? But it's like not out in some field, it's not out in the country, and you feel like you're in a different universe. Like, you don't feel like you're in the middle of the city. It is wild.
My experience in Augusta, Georgia is not that it's very gorgeous. But Augusta, like Masters, the tournament or whatever, is very pretty. It's all about how pretty it is and how pretty the flowers and the pines and whatnot, the golf course is. So
yeah. Oh, sorry.
We got a little bit of Walk Street joining on
dog in the
podcast.
background here, joining us here.
Get out of here, Walk Street.
I don't know what he's barking on right now.
Uh-oh. This is unprofessional. And let's get back into the show. Hopefully Walk's got it out of him. As every good dog does. But man, so I want to talk a little bit before we get going into Finn and all that. Let's talk about Princess Bubblegum. Clearly on some sort of a weakened state. So we see Princess Bubblegum laying there, her eyes are closed, and she kind of mumbles or whatever, but her eyes are normal looking at first. And then over time, you see the Lich eyes kind of take over her. And I was wondering if it's because the Lich and Princess Bubblegum are so injured, so in such a weakened state, yet the Lich is slightly more powerful because he got a little bit of the energy from the power well. I'm thinking that's why he's able, because I don't think Princess Bubblegum is weak. I just think he had a little bit more power. He's a little bit stronger in general than Princess Bubblegum is. And so he was able to control her body and take it over even while he was in a weakened state. I think if Princess Bubblegum hadn't been weakened by the power well, I think Princess Bubblegum probably would have been able to overcome him, similar to how Finn did.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel like she falls in the well, but there is something to say about the well itself, because even her in her like darkened matter state, whatever you want to call it, mosquito state,
Mhm.
recreates the power well with all that ingredient. And, and then the Ice King also says he sees the spirit of the Lich come out of the well and attach to her once they pull her out. So it
Well, it
wasn't
came out
even.
of his ashes. It wasn't in the well.
Oh yeah. So the well weakened her state, then it came out of the ash. So yeah,
Yes.
you are completely right. I think it's the Lich, the very Voldemort type esque,
Mhm.
like leeches onto the weakest being in the room to
Well, it allows
overtake
us to
it.
see the patience of the Lich again. This is another aspect where he's waiting. He realizes that Princess Bubblegum's body alone is not strong enough for him to move around for a while, and that's why you get him kind of bed rest, waiting, for the right moment, the opportune moment to gather what he needs through Finn. As Finn's like confessing his love, essentially being like, "Oh, thank you so much for the sweater that shows that I like you a lot," or whatever. It's like, go get these things for me. That's great, Finn. Good on you or whatever. And even
Yeah.
more time as Finn goes away, comes back. And then I think she crawls to the bathroom to see what there is first, to see if there's, and Finn takes her back to the bed just to see if
Yeah,
there's
she's
anything
looking.
in there
The Lich's
that the
essence is
Lich can
looking for
use.
that. Again, there's something about the well of power that we do all of a sudden realize that you can recreate the well of power as long as you have lighter fluid and bleach and plutonium and
Is he
gasoline.
recreating it though? I just wonder if it's like some sort of a mixture that gives him some
Well,
power.
you see when the Lich as Princess Bubblegum pours the last ingredient in, you see the little puff of like ghostly
Okay.
face mushroom cloud come out of the bathtub. And
Gotcha.
so
It's the
it,
right
it
color too.
it does further my theory about the well of power being where some sort of nuclear bomb hit. And that was like ground zero for the nuclear bomb. And I think this kind of somewhat proves that point of especially plutonium being one of the ingredients, that the Lich was some sort of essence, some wish that somebody had from a demonic wishing eye, that they wanted to extinguish all life on Earth. The bomb happened. The bomb was its own thing. And then when everybody on Earth didn't perish, that the Lich is like the spirit of the wish come alive, going, it still has to fulfill the wish that somebody made to destroy all human life. And it uses the power of that like nuclear juice or whatever in order
In
to
theory.
repower itself. In theory, this is my
In theory.
theoretically speaking.
Yeah.
Theoretically speaking.
Yeah, let's be honest. We don't know that if that's really true or not. It's certainly a great theory, though.
Yeah, but I just am saying, like, in terms of the theory I had for last episode, this definitely like bolsters my thought
Backs
process.
it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I think it's certainly interesting. I think Lich, maybe he figured out a formula in my mind that allows him to be more powerful or recover in some way, something that maybe it's plutonium or whatever that is good for him as a Lich. I'm not really sure. I don't have any further thoughts on that. I just thought it was very interesting to see the Lich use patience again in order to get back into strength and grow and try and run back for his bigger power well or wherever he was heading off to. Maybe he was just trying to get away.
No, I think he was going back. He had to somehow like repower himself, and same with Princess Bubblegum. Like Princess Bubblegum's body is in a weakened state. That's why he just possesses it, and he needs the actual ingredients to get stronger.
So why do you think this sweatshirt doesn't work this time?
I think the sweatshirt doesn't work this time because it is Princess Bubblegum that is possessed by the Lich, and so whatever that quote unquote like power of liking a lot, can't be used inherently back on her. But also, like, the Lich can still, like, it was the Lich's fire that couldn't touch Finn, right? It wasn't the fact that the Lich couldn't like punch him
Or punch him. Yeah.
or fight him.
That was kind of my thought. It's kind of like Pokemon rules, it's like basically he uses reflect, which would stop a special ability, or weaken a special ability against him. It's not like you can stop a physical punch with that.
Not like you can't stop quick attack, nobody can stop quick attack, So no, I feel that. I feel that. But
yeah,
no,
that's kind of what I was thinking too.
I love it. Well, the cool thing about this episode is like it's about the princess being possessed, but I think that there's so much behind this episode. You know, my first thought was Ice King was one of the most important parts, like the development and Ice King being such a key part of the storyline. But I think a lot of this storyline, and it can easily be missed, is but about Finn, because a couple of like key things he does. It's like he has, after the Lich and after he saw the power of the sweater of liking somebody a lot, he's totally enamored with the idea that Princess Bubblegum is going to be his girlfriend. That they've had this connection. On a supernatural level, they've now had this connection, and he is waiting for the moment to tell her, "This, your sweater saved my life." And I think he thinks it's going to be that big moment that, you know, we all thought of in middle school of like, I'm going to give her this, you know, I'm going to ask her to homecoming. And that's the big moment where it all happens, you know.
Do you have a moment? Are you gonna reveal a moment of yours where you did something embarrassing?
You want to know my you know, to compare it to Finn's moment of bedside, I like you a lot.
Yeah, please, because I have one too.
No, my first one was in 6th grade, and it was I had a friend that told a girl that he liked her, and he was like the first one in our grade to do it. It was a big deal, and it was like, oh my gosh!
Did everybody like her? Was she just one of those girls, or
no?
Okay.
No. It was, he just told a different girl he liked, and I don't even think anything happened of it except for like they were like, everybody in the class was like, oh man, like they might like each other, and I liked this girl, and
the same girl.
No, not okay. Sorry, this other girl.
I'm just looking for more drama.
No. The drama comes later in middle school. This is 6th grade. This is like everybody's all of a sudden realizing that your feelings and hormones are matching up at the same time, and everything gets really angsty.
Cool.
But everybody was pressuring me to tell this girl that I liked her because it was very obvious. And it was at this school trip over to Jekyll Island, Georgia, and the whole trip, everybody was like, "You should do it." And then they were like, we got this girl in the pavilion. You should go tell her this is the moment. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. This is embarrassing. And they coaxed me over there, and they're like, so you think you got to tell her? I was like, no. And then I was like, girl, I like you a lot. You should know that. And that was it. And I walked away because I was like, that's the first time I ever told a girl I liked her. It was like, and I said, I like you. No. You should know that. And then I walked away.
That's funny, man. Dude, I did a trip down to Jekyll Island too. That's so wild.
You got that little 4-H center down there?
I think so. It was like a science trip, and we were there for like a whole week.
And you stayed in like basically like an old prison.
Yeah, it was like a crappy dorm sort of a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, we totally stayed in the same place.
Wow, man, that's wild. Mine was in 7th grade, but no. What I was gonna say, oh gosh, I don't even know if I want to. This is so embarrassing. What I was gonna say was, I don't really want to say what year it was. It was a yearbook signing type thing, and I knew I wouldn't see. It was senior year of high school.
Yearbook type signing 6 weeks ago.
Senior year of high school.
At his job.
Yeah, we were signing yearbooks, and I knew this girl, and I had a crush on her like in middle school, and just kind of wouldn't, it wasn't like a everlasting crush, but whenever I saw her, whenever we had a class together, it was like, man, if only that had worked out, like. And I think senior year, I was crushing on her some. And I was like, hey, and her yearbook was like, man, like, I didn't say man. I was like, something along the lines of, I liked you for a long time. I know our time never came. It was something really stupid. And I don't know what reaction I was looking for, but I basically closed her book and gave it to her. And I haven't talked to her since. I have no idea how she reacted to that, but it was definitely dumb. It was so embarrassingly dumb. I don't know why I did it, but I wonder if I ever reached out to her, like what she would think nowadays. But who knows? I mean, it doesn't matter. She's married. I think she has a kid now. I don't know. I don't keep track of her, but it was very fascinating that's just like etched in my mind as like, hey, here's another one of those really embarrassing moments from your childhood.
Yeah, but
so I get it,
man.
I feel you.
Yeah, the Finn moment is like you shooting your shot. You got to shoot your shot.
Gosh, that was not
I
shooting
mean, it
my
was
shot
the
at all.
first time. It wasn't the first time Finn had thought about shooting a shot. You know, he'd felt the moments there, like he had, you know, had little lovey-dovey huggy moments with the princess. And I think in light of her almost dying and then her kind of saving his life by proxy, that leads into what I think the rest of the episode is about Finn being so blinded by this moment to shoot his shot that he just doesn't even see through what's going on. He's so just like obsessed with, I'm going to take this moment. I'm going to make the princess feel happy. This is going to be the moment where we're both boyfriend and girlfriend. He doesn't see the toxicity, which is a play on words here because it's toxic bathtub goo mixed with, obviously she's not in her right mind.
Yeah, the toxicity of our city, you know.
Yeah, you know, definitely not
bloody on the
System of a
world,
Down.
bloody on disorder.
Yeah.
Sorry. System of a Down.
Feet up on the table, you know.
Different song, Ned. Different song.
That's still System of the Down. It's all the same song. It's all just one continuous song by them.
Speaking of middle school, anyways.
Speaking of middle school, oh man! But you see, it's like it's all the moments where like Finn is so hyper obsessed with. He's sitting there. She's like staring dead ass into the ceiling, and he's like, "I'm gonna tell you the story about how your sweater saved me." And I'm like, "Dude, she's like suffering right now. She's halfway exorcisting right now, and you are literally like going and grabbing her plutonium, and you can't." He's not. He knows Princess Bubblegum. Oh, and another funny thing, you start seeing, he calls her Puebles and Peebles and all this stuff. And he does that the rest of the show. But I thought this was a really funny moment. He starts giving her little girlfriendy nicknames before.
Very cutesy nicknames, yeah.
And it's like, again, in his mind, this was the moment where she was about to be his girlfriend. And he's already giving her little girlfriendy name, like Peebles, what's wrong? Puebles, like he's had this planned out, and he's living in this moment, in this false reality where, because whatever happened last episode, and then the episode ends and she's his age.
It's his new reality, dude. He
got it. Semi-manifested it, but then what I always,
she's 13 years old.
What throws me off, and a little bit of what I know about next season, and then when she kind of has that, even that like last little second of this episode when she's like, my hero.
Yeah, and hugs him.
It seems like she doesn't remember.
Little rascal.
But it seems
interesting.
Like she's so innocent that it's kind of like, well, does she remember all the history that she's had with Finn in terms of like over flirting with him? And does she remember that she was older? And I think that again, Finn is so hyper obsessed with it happening that I'm like, is she even the same person? Is she even the same person that you had a crush on? Now that she's your age, that's perfect. But is it perfect if it's not really the relationship that you've already developed, you know?
She definitely pulls the Darla, like, alfalfa, my hero.
My hero.
Yeah.
Good movie. Man, I agree. That would be a fun special to do.
That could be a fun special. I haven't seen that movie in a real long time.
That's a great movie.
I don't know. I'm very curious to see what Princess Bubblegum is like next season. I'm sure she won't stay that age for very long, if at all. It was weird because on Hulu they had the sub photo or whatever. I don't even know what it's called. The thumbnail of the episode from last episode as her as a little girl. And then when the episode ended and she's not a little girl, I was like, what is going on with Hulu? And then it popped up on this episode. I was like, oh, okay, they just messed it up by one episode.
Yeah, but it looks like I think they mess up a lot. And even I think there was a while where Hulu didn't even label the seasons correctly in the final season too. Like they jumped to season 10, but it's actually still season 9. It's really weird.
I couldn't help but be happy for Finn in a way. I know it's kind of forced and fake and not going to last, but I want him to be happy. I think we all want him to be happy. And this feels like what he wants right now, what he thinks is going to make him happy is this relationship, which there's a lot more going on, bro. You're that age. Go just keep exploring, keep having fun, keep adventuring.
Yeah. I mean, but you can't blame him. When I was 13 and had crushes on girls, it was be like you get hyper fixated, man. Like you can't not be over hormonal and thinking about that one person
Yeah,
over
but
and over.
then you
So,
start to make mistakes, man. You start to write it in people's yearbooks that
and
you'll never see again.
That's what season 3 is, dog. He just and season 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 but really, I mean, season 3. I mean, you're right. It obviously doesn't stay like this forever. So there's no really denying that. But it's pretty early on in season 3. We won't have to have a lot of ambiguity. It's relatively early on in season 3 where we will get to how this whole like teenage bubblegum thing plays out.
Okay. Ned, I can't believe you. You've got the tattoo of the snail, and the snail is not winning me right now. He's not. He's kind of like with Ice King at the moment where I'm like, what is up with this snail? I just don't. And Peppermint Butler, I'm like, I don't really trust them.
That's
They've
why I'm
got
going to
to
get
earn
that's
my
why I'm going to
trust
get a
back.
second pep butt tattoo on my left ankle.
Dude, he's possessed, bro.
He's not possessed. He dabbles in the dark arts.
I can't believe you got a tattoo of him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, at least it's going to take forever for him to do anything evil.
No, it does actually take a long
we won't
time
see the Lich
before
for
the
a
next
while.
thing happens. Yeah. It is a minute. It is going to be a minute before he comes back. But they do use the snail again. It's that whole like lingering cliffhanger at the end is purposeful, and they carry on with that canonically, which is good.
It's a very fascinating, not quite dead TV trope that they use. You see it a lot in movies and films and anime. I mean, like Orochimaru is like the king of, if you're a Naruto fan, of constantly coming back, never dying, even though you're like, oh, his head got severed or whatever, he got eaten, killed, whatever. He constantly comes back. It's just the trope of like the hero wins, evil can't possibly be alive. Like there's no way. Moments later, you just see that they're not quite dead.
4-second blurb at the end of the episode that's just like, ha ha ha, yeah, the evil's not dead.
More mad than they've ever been. Some like a fun example of this was and actually kind of the opposite. Like the hero's not dead. Emperor's New Groove, where Cusco is supposed to be killed. You know, Cusco's poison, the poison to kill Cusco.
The poison to kill Cusco.
But he's not actually dead yet. You know, it's like he's going to come back and he's going to be angry that he's a freaking llama now. Same with like the Hydra problem in Hercules, where you cut off a head and another head grows back, or Super Saiyans is another one from Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, where the closer a Saiyan gets to dying, so Goku or Vegeta or someone like that, the stronger they will be the next time. Like once they heal up and they take some time, they will be even better and stronger the next time. So every time they have a close encounter with death, they're just getting better. And we got the Lich, man. I'm hoping it's not the case for the Lich. I hope he's not going to come back even stronger and ready to, whoop some butt. But
I'll leave that to you, man. He comes back in several different ways, shapes, and forms that are all very unique. And the Lich's story turns out to be a very interesting story. He is the antithesis of Finn. He is the true antagonist of the show, but the way he kind of sparses himself coming back in time and time again, it's all it's not like I'm more powerful. It's all different. It's all, even his strategy for destroying all life in the universe becomes different, which is, it's very cool. Spoiler drop again, when they start introducing time multiverse type things, that's where it gets very Lich involved, which is cool.
I'm really excited for that. I am pumped that we have our big bad guy. The big bad of the show has been revealed. Bad. And he's out there, he's lurking, and he wants to destroy everything. That's his only desire.
Freaking liching around.
Yeah, liching around. Pretty fun.
Liching around, pretty fun,
let's not be liching anybody. That's not good.
I don't know. It just sounded weird coming out of my mouth. It sounded weird.
Ned, do you have any lessons for me?
I've got a couple
other
lessons.
Remarks you'd like to make first?
I don't know. I mean, not any crazy factoids about this one. It's just a lot of callbacks to a lot of other shows, like I already mentioned, like Monty Python and the Clouds Closing. When Jake opens the door to Princess Bubblegum's room, the door sounds like the door to TARDIS, which is from Doctor Who. Apparently, when Princess Bubblegum is eating from the giant vat of poisonous house cleaner, she resembles No Face from Spirited Away.
Oh.
And then a lot of callbacks to The Exorcist, like we already said, like the snapping up in the bed and the bed actually floating up in the air, jumbling around. A lot of callbacks to The Exorcist, and did read that in the production notes, the Penn Ward and Adam Muto were very excited about this mentality of Adventure Time, of like almost being so entertained by the show and being scared at the same time, and being kind of frightened was a cool little balance that they liked to float around. So that like we can do this thing that just makes you feel so uncomfortable and so freaked out, but it's also behind this cartoon and lightheartedness, that it was an interesting feeling that they were trying to instill in the watchers, you know?
When Jake was talking to Princess Bubblegum and Princess Bubblegum yells at him his name and is all melty and red.
Dude.
That might be the creepiest moment of the show yet for me.
Easily. And like done on purpose to be like, again, with the room full of flowers, let's make you feel real good. And then boom, throw in like fire and melting eyes. Like, I want my kid to watch this one day, but holy crap, like how far am I going to have to age develop them before we can get to this scene without nightmare fuel?
Ned, how was our commercial not like a flower shop? Why didn't we get a sponsor from someone who had flowers for the people of Ooh? That seems like a pretty obvious. Maybe it was too obvious. Maybe that's
very
why.
weird. Also very weird that the flowers weren't made out of candy, from what I could understand.
Well, they're plants. I mean, they're trees. No.
But everything in candy, even if the roads are made out of
Willy
candy,
Wonka.
And if the water is made out of, Gatorade, like
I don't think that's been confirmed.
Flowers, not yet. No, it's not been. It will be. It will be.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know then.
I don't know. What about? Did you have any like final thoughts? Any kind of, And this is technically, I'm treating this kind of. I want you to get the feeling from the end of this episode leading into season 3. So like, how you feel? How are you feeling now? Like, we'll do another episode to finish up season 2 with Heat Signature, but the feelings going into season 3 should really feel right now,
I think I am about as excited as I was after season 1, but maybe just a touch more. I'm more invested. It's twice as long. We've been doing this for a freaking year now. My life has been engulfed by more Adventure Time than I think I ever thought it would, especially when we weren't even planning on doing this podcast a year ago. And we were just like talking about, you'd bring up Adventure Time and I would roll my eyes and be like, of course, another Adventure Time reference from Ned.
Another one.
So here we are. I mean, we're 4 episodes in now, and I'm enjoying it. It's a good show. The last 2 episodes have been, including this one, have really kind of got me intrigued at where the show's going to go, where they're going to lead with this. Every comment we ever have on social media is about, I can't wait till I get to the later seasons and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's weird because in my mind, and from what I can tell, like the show was the show, like in the first season, it was what you get from Adventure Time, because those are all the very nostalgic classic episodes, and Kyridian, Wizard, all that stuff, things that even I knew or I remembered from my childhood or high school, essentially. But I'm so confused. What's going to happen in the later seasons that people are so excited about it? Because we've already seen all the nostalgic episodes, or at least I thought we did. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm here for the ride, for the journey. I'm traveling along, and I think season 3 is going to be good. I think this show is ramping up, and I think it's going to keep getting better.
Yeah, and I'm glad you say that, because I'm like, when I watch back through it again, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the end of season 2. It's like so much has already happened. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, so much still has to happen, like myself. And like, it does feel weird. You're like, we have all of a sudden like found our evil character. We've had a lot of Ice King development. And you're like, how else can we fill 7 more seasons of content with content that's even better? That obviously all of the fans are like, you haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet.
I'm excited for the season 2 review. I think I'm going to be able to really get some thoughts together, and that'll be a fun episode to do.
Just the fact that, I mean, the crazy part is was looking back on the Hulu page, and I was like, dude, we started out with Nightosphere, which even felt like so long ago, just in time. And I was like, the season 2 recap is going to be so much more fun than our first season, because it's going to be like, oh, I didn't think I'd like this episode, but now I think it plays a bigger part in the whole show, like just from finishing 2 seasons. And our recap's going to be fun. We're definitely going to do some top 5s here.
We sure as hell chose a long show. That will be a long podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully we do the whole thing.
We aren't going to leave you guys hanging. That's for sure.
No, we're going to do our best. I mean, every week, that's what we're here for. We want to do the show justice the best we can every Tuesday, try and have an episode unless we just need to miss. Honestly, being remote's nice. We're going to do 2 episodes tonight, and I got invited by DJ Cowboy Hat to go longboard, and I was like, I can't, bro. Got to record the podcast.
Yeah.
Remember that thing that
anymore.
We're doing?
Not in his house anymore, which is it's somewhat sad, but man, it does make just being able to be flexible with recording so much easier,
It does. It was interesting too to see. We'll save all that for the review. Let's take some time and let's just get through this episode. Ned, we're 50 minutes in. People are ready to wrap up.
Give me your lessons.
My lesson is a part of the pun that was gonna be that never was. I'm not gonna. It's not a joke. I'm not supposed to say like I didn't get permission essentially for this joke. So I'm not gonna say that. Pound cake is the new apple pie, and then me not explain that reference to American Pie. I'm not going to do it.
No, I'm not going to do
Pound
it.
Cake, not my sexiest character of the episode.
You nasty.
I'm not. That's not what I'm doing here.
You're not saying anything.
I'm not saying anything. Never mind. Political jokes aside. Ned, what is your lesson?
I got 3. It's not that. It's not that.
No, I was just going to make a joke about freaking news. What are the guys? An anchorman that I don't like. Anyways, go ahead, Ned.
When someone's acting whack, they probably on crack.
Ooh.
Crack being
sugar?
No, crack being a plutonium-based bathtub fluid.
Fair.
Also, production plans are key. Don't let heat signature be your season finale. That was a huge one. They dropped the ball. They did. The heat signature was supposed to release later or earlier on in the season. A blip happened. They had to release it at the end. So production plans are key. Learned that big time.
Here's what I'll say though. Our next episode, NEA 55, coming out next week that we're about to record, going to be a hell of an episode. So you better be there.
Oh yeah,
we're going to end it right.
Our last season finale episode is going to be great. Doesn't mean that totally. Adventure Times was. Doesn't mean ours not going to be great.
Ours is going to be real good.
Yeah. My last lesson is when the Lord of Darkness is scared, aka Peppermint Butler, you should also be scared.
He's the Lord of Darkness?
Well, no, he's not the Lord of Darkness. That's not a spoiler drop. I'm just saying he's dark magic, dark arts Peppermint Butler, and if he's scared, you gotta run.
He's the Professor Snape of this.
This thing. In a way, yeah, maybe. He
feels like it right now.
Yeah.
Ned, my rec for this week is Good Mythical Morning.
Yep.
We've talked about Good Mythical Morning before. I freaking love it. Been listening to Ear Biscuits, their podcast, which I'm not going to plug because listen to our podcast. But Good Mythical Morning is fantastic. I watch it almost every day. And so does Allie. Something that we both watched. I think I've seen it since the first season of Good Mythical Morning, and I knew of the Rhett and Link back when they did their rap battles and stuff back in high school, middle school days. So big fan of it. Couldn't recommend it more. They've been on a roll. I've really been enjoying it the past couple weeks.
Nice, man. I think my rec is going to be watch some sports this week. It's sports week, so watch your or the Masters is going to be over by the time.
Watch the Masters recap.
Watch the Masters from 4 weeks
ago. That'd be so boring. Don't do that.
But Braves baseball starts tonight, so it's now baseball season. My rec's going to be Braves baseball. Let's do it.
Let's go Bravos.
Let's go the Bravos.
A real rec that all our listeners can get into.
Oh yeah, because I know everyone loves sports out there.
And baseball too. Everyone loves baseball, and everyone loves the Braves.
Yeah, it's America's team, right? That's what they say.
Well, I don't think baseball is America's sport.
Oh,
Anyways.
man. Well, where can all of these fellow suckers, travelers follow us?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Ned,
my gosh.
well, join me next week when I have a new co-host. Thank you so much for listening, following, reviewing us, on your podcast listening app or whatever. I'm sure we're not out of stickers. Like, if we need to get more stickers, we will at this point when this episode
we've already given like
comes
7,000 out,
Oh, yeah. It's been big dent in our wallets. No, go review us on Apple Podcasts and send us a snapshot of it, and we'll send you a sticker. I mean, it's going to take 5 seconds of your time, and you get a really cool little never-ending adventure time.
A little blooper,
It'll be fun. Instagram us at Neverending Adventure Podcast, TikTok at Neverending Adventure Cast, Twitter at NEA_podcast. Email us at nea.travelerslog@gmail.com. Just your thoughts, your opinions. Wrap up season 2 with us. You're not going to send it in time? Never mind. But let's send it anyways. It'll be fun. We'll talk about it during season 3.
Yeah.
Our YouTube, all the things. We'll see you next Tuesday. Everybody, boys, girls, people, them, theys, everything, whatever. Buddy, forever.
But I love you guys.